welcome back to another episode of WRPL, a podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Ooh, we got a humdinger of a show today.
Yes, sirree, Bob there.
It's been a while since we recorded. We had weather issues and personal lives and such. Because, yeah, our last episode was just like winging it, just kind of doing whatever.
But we're back and possibly better than ever.
Yeah, I mean, with all of my no notes taken and everything just off the cuff.
Hey, man, people come here for the real nitty-gritty. They don't want that scripted, noted stuff. They don't want thought-provoking ideas about how we view things. They want to know what we've seen and what random thoughts we have about it.
People come here?
Sure.
Potentially.
Sure.
Yeah,
when Earth ends and the aliens find remnants of civilization, they will find this podcast and it will echo through the cosmos for eternity. Anyway, train of thought's gone. Aliens will listen to this.
That'd be so weird if we were the only link to humanity and it was just this dumb little podcast that talks about some movies and TV shows, and they're like, well, what was their agriculture like? It's like, oh, who fucking knows, but they sure like TV.
Or they don't have quite the concept of our language, so they just think what we're saying is 100% facts.
Oh.
And then it's like they're basing, oh man, there's a society that was, really into comedy, I guess, is what they traded in. Or some guy named Steven Spielberg might have been the president. I don't know. The king of their...
And they kept taking these concepts and mashing them together and making a third new concept. Weirdos. Yeah. Yeah, we got some fun stuff to talk about. Lots of TV has come back at the start of 2022.
Let's list some things that we're watching, but we won't talk about on this episode.
Yeah, we'll wait until they're done. But Euphoria,
happy it's back.
Great. I feel dirty watching it.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of controversy. I don't know if it's just fake controversy, so who cares? But we're going to talk about it, where people are saying, there's it's just glorifying, or not necessarily glorifying, but here's all these people being 17-year-olds doing this, extreme sex and drug stuff. It's is this exploitative of children kind of thing? It's
sure.
But they're really adults. If you don't, kids who are 17 are having sex and doing drugs. It's not showing anything that isn't happening. Sure,
but this is an extreme. This is nobody's life. This is the smallest percentage of human beings' lives were like this. You could take all the characters and probably spread it across a state. Yeah. This is not all completely localized in one high school.
Yeah, I'd really like to know what the difference is between East Coast. I imagine the differences are not very grand, but if there is sort of the richer, bigger student body like California school versus the small town school that I went to, if there's just drastic differences, or because the schools are so huge, of course there's multiple students having these kind of experiences. Yeah, but other than Bo Burnham's 8th grade film, I don't know if I've ever seen a high school movie where I'm like, that was my experience, because my experience was nothing like anything I've ever seen in a movie.
Yeah. Okay. We broke our rule of what we just said. We're not talking about this. We're talking about it later.
You're right.
Well, we'll get to it, but yeah, Euphoria.
Sneak peek, guys.
We'll get back to us in 8 weeks or so. Let's see. Peacemaker started up. Very fun, very funny. What else? Oh, Righteous Gemstones has come back.
Very fun, very funny.
Very fun, very funny. Great cast. Love Judy. She's the worst.
Basically, HBO is killing it right now is what we're getting at.
Yeah, kind of.
Euphoria, Peacemaker, Righteous Gemstones, and, well, we'll get to the other thing that's also on HBO.
Okay. But before we get started on our real stuff, Book of Boba Fett is 4 episodes in. It's a bad show. Unfortunately,
honestly, I'm happy to hear
it. Kind of me too. It's oh, you wanted your Boba Fett show? Well, here you go. And Boba Fett's not interesting. And they're just taking their sweet ass time to do anything with this character. The backstory of him being taken in by the Tusken Raiders all that stuff is pretty good, but now that he's like moved on, and it's how did he take the throne from Jabba the Hutt? None of it's interesting. It's kind of ugly too. Mm-hmm. There are these cyborg characters that just don't fit the aesthetic. They're driving these brightly colored Vespa, hover Vespas slowly through the streets of Mos Eisley. It looks like crap. And it's a shame because there's these little bright spots. There's this like battle-hardened evil Wookiee called Chrysanthemum or Cristobal. I don't know. He's got a C name. He's awesome. Like, he's the best looking Wookiee I've ever seen. Like, the animatronics in that face are so much better than anything I've seen with Chewbacca. But no, it's a bad show with bad characters, and Boba Fett is boring as fuck. He's not interesting, and just the show likes to take its time to get to I don't know what. I don't know what the end goal of this show is going to be. Is if it's just him going like, now I'm in power. Like, who cares? Nobody cares.
Yeah, I just thought of this as you were talking, but I remember at the end of Han Solo, you had that little teaser of the Han Solo movie.
Mm-hmm. Han Solo, a solo Star Wars story.
Yeah. You had that Darth Maltese.
Mm-hmm.
Maltese. Anyway. But in the Star Wars universe, doesn't he run a crime syndicate called the Syndicate or something like that?
Something.
Yeah. So if you were going to do a crime show, since you already have a Mandalorian show, you maybe should have just done the Darth Maul show.
Maybe.
Show how he came... maybe you were just saving that for the movies that you thought
they're saving it for Obi-Wan.
Sure, but if this is the old Obi-Wan... whatever. I don't know the lore of Darth Maul all that much, but I imagine, yes, Darth Maul will be part of the Obi-Wan show. Just save it for the Obi-Wan. It's just like... But now you're going to have a crime syndicate show, and then the Obi-Wan show where he's fighting a crime syndicate?
I have no idea.
Maybe, I don't... I just don't care. Yeah. I don't care anymore.
But when it comes to Obi-Wan, just don't put him on Tatooine. Like, we're on Tatooine this whole time with Boba Fett. I'm so sick of Tatooine or any desert planet. Have Han Solo, God, Obi-Wan drop off Luke, see that he's safe, and goes and fucks off and goes get laid for the first time or whatever, and just take him off world and doing fun things. I don't care what you do with him. If he wants to fight the crime syndicate that Darth Maul has created, sure, but do it on Coruscant or something else, something more interesting than a desert planet. And then you have, there was a attack on Luke, and shit, now I really gotta go back, and you end the show with him going, this is my life now, I have to be a protector. But for the majority of the show, just stay off Tatooine. But we'll talk about that when that comes out. But
I can't wait.
Yeah, Book of Boba Fett, bad. Don't bother.
It's really going to be a struggle to get myself to watch it if I do.
Yeah,
I'm really going to have to force myself and be like, fine, I'll set one day aside and just bang out 8 episodes.
It is the ultimate fan show. It's just like, you remember Rancors, you remember Sarlacc pits, you remember all those things? Well, we're doing it again. Remember Max Rebo and his jizz whalers or whatever they were called?
They played
jizz. Okay, yeah, sorry. So let's get into it. I mean,
great.
We're already 10 minutes in and we haven't even talked about what we are actually talking about. So as always, spoilers for everything.
Spoilers.
Our main topic is Don't Look Up, the Netflix show starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, and I look forward to talking about that. I'm going to let you kick it off. I think you have a few more things than me. So what do you want to talk about first?
Well, first we'll talk about what I've been listening to.
Okay.
And I've been listening to The Weeknd's new album, Dawn FM. We have a mutual friend who I think The Weeknd is his favorite artist. He's a huge fan. And so I've liked The Weeknd's music. But I got to say, this is probably his weakest album. So the running theme, it's called Dawn FM, so it opens with a 1.5-minute skit where there's sort of this, not Howard Stern, what would you call it?
Shock jock?
shock
talk
jock.
radio, morning zoo crew.
One guy is just like, welcome to Dawn FM, where we're getting all the sounds of blah, blah, blah. And it's kind of like that. But then there'll be other songs where the song will happen, but then at the end, there'll be this tag. And so I always listen to songs on Spotify pretty much. And whenever I hear talking, and like the song's over, but now there's this skip part. It's like I don't want to waste my skips, so I have to listen to it. And it just, I don't care about skits in particular. I feel like skits often kind of just bog down a CD that I don't care about, so it just makes me like it less.
Or they should at least make them their own tracks. You know, it plays right after.
I mean, there are like I think the intro and there's a outro. I think that are both.
Yeah, but if it's like attached to the song, when you do listen to it on Spotify, you have to listen to it. That's bad.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Weekend. What do you know about making music?
Which, like, I appreciate an album with a theme and with if there's a story that goes through it. I get that and I respect that. But typically I just want to hear the song. So anything extra, I'm just like, whatever, I don't care about. So that kind of brought the CD down in terms of enjoyment. But the songs, when they are songs, are pretty good. They have a very 80s feel. I've listened to the album a couple times now. It makes me really he's got a great voice that just makes you want to dance, and has these like techno sort of, not techno, I don't know. It just really feel good music, even though he's often talking about like depressing stuff, like a woman leaving you or cheating on you or hating this bitch or whatever. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it just, I don't know. It's fun to listen to a guy who is just talking about heartbreak, but you're
to a beat.
Yeah, you're to a beat, and you're just like, I'm doing dishes and just dancing along, and me and my fiance are just dancing in the kitchen. It's like, this song is weird as shit, but gets me going. So if you enjoy dancing, listen to The Weeknd, Dawn FM, but skip all the shock jock radio talk. Okay. It doesn't matter. I don't remember a goddamn thing he says.
All right. I will not. So
because you hate music.
I'm so opposed to music. I'm working on getting Prop 72 through, which is banning all music.
Okay.
I want us to turn into the town in Footloose.
From Footloose, yeah. Makes sense.
So yeah, they just didn't like dancing, but I'm going one step further. If you stop music, there's no reason to dance. Mm-hmm. So like Bing Bang Boom got two of them all in one.
So people can't dance to music in their own head. The music in your head is also outlawed?
I mean, we can't regulate that, but don't let us catch you. You know.
So if you catch someone dancing, you assume
they're listening to music in their head.
Yeah. So okay, I see.
So if you're gonna have music in your head, straight face, arms down by your side, don't swing the arms out. That could be interpreted as dancing, and just a really locked knee, tight walk. That's all you're allowed to do.
Okay.
So I played a game. It was a free game this month on PlayStation. It's a Persona 5. I put in about an hour and 45 minutes into this game. And I really wish there was a game within this game, because it's mostly just a conversation simulator that you press X to get through.
Okay.
And the dialogue is so... not cringy or anything, but overwritten. It'll just be like three people standing there like, wow, I really wish I can go with you. Well, why not? Why can't you come with us? Yeah, you should come with us. Oh, but I can't because I'm stuck here. You're stuck here? Why are you stuck here? Because I'm in a computer. Whoa, how'd you get in the computer? Yeah, how'd you get in a computer? I don't know, but this is my life. Maybe we can get you out. Yeah, maybe we can get you out. It's like, Jesus Christ. You say 7 things and you only need to say 1, and then it's like, we gotta stop these guys, go! So you go, and I hit like square 3 times to do a combo, and my party took care of the rest of the guys, and then it was like, good job! And then it's another 15 minutes of talking about bullshit. And it's like, I understand having an intro and a tutorial and stuff, but it's like every few minutes is this 5-minute dialogue thing where you get 30 seconds to fight. And it's like, I don't even know how to like do my shit. The tutorial was so fast that like by the time I do get to fight, I just kill a couple of guys and it's over. And I kind of refuse to put any more time into this game. I'm not invested at this point. Like, I don't, obviously this is the 5th one. I don't know these characters. I guess they're a bunch of thieves or something, but get me into the actual story. But it's just, It's so fucking frustrating. Did you play any of it?
No, I did download it, and the only reason I know of Persona 5 is because Joker, who's a character in it, is on Smash Brothers, and I heard this game had like rave reviews. It's the only reason I really downloaded it because I was like, oh, okay, if everyone says it's good and it's got a famous character in it, maybe I'll give it a try. But you describing that is the main thing I was worried about, and it's really prevalent, I think, it in just anime and just maybe Japanese sort of based games where there just seems to be no concept of human conversation.
Yeah.
It's all filler, and we have to if we don't have all this dialogue, our game's only 10 hours or something like that, as opposed to just I don't know. Every game doesn't have to be an Oscar-winning script, but these games that are, I don't know, made for children, I guess, where they have to like explain everything a bunch of times just to make sure that anyone who plays this can understand what's going on, I guess. It just really slows down the game and makes it annoying. Because I hate, typically, games where it's just infinite dialogue. Like, Kingdom Hearts has a lot of cutscenes and a lot of dialogue, and it's all repeating about hearts and whatever and the power of friendship. But the gameplay is so fun, and it's a long enough game where I can sort of overlook that. But, I mean, was the combat... And did you get to any point where the combat was like, oh, this is really fun, or you're unlocking new combos, where like, oh, you're doing cool stuff, or is it just...
No, it's like you get your combo, you have your dodge and your shoot, and then your summons. I think I got a second summons, but I haven't had a chance to really like let loose and have fun. And also when you're fighting, it's just like this small arena. It's not like the world's open. I mean, there is open world parts, but it's mainly like go talk to these people and then find an entrance or whatever, and then you could have a fight. But it's just like it seems like you could just stand in one spot and just hit one button over and over again. The guys would just run in, die, and then it's over. There's really no skill. And maybe, obviously, later there could be much harder things. But I put an hour and 45 minutes into this game, and I'm barely past anything. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you want to spice up your video game variety and try new things, but I think a key to making a good game, an important key, is to have a really good intro, because everyone hates doing the tutorials, and if you can incorporate the tutorial in a fun way with just as an example, the opening scene of the Spider-Man game, fantastic. You learn how to play the entire game in a big action set piece that you're not bored with, because there's huge action scenes going on while there's storytelling, and you learned everything by the time in 20 minutes you're in the open world and you know how to do everything. It's like, that's how you open up a game. Uncharted does it really well too.
I mean, even the Guardians game, it was pretty good at doing that. But this, I guess I am past tutorial, but I got to a point where I'm skipping all the dialogue scenes because I'm not getting anything. And the story, who cares? It's like a new operating system or whatever, and there's a living AI that's in our world. I don't know, whatever. But I'm just skipping all the dialogue because I want to get to the next thing. And before, it's like I'm just hitting X, going through it real quick, but it goes forever. So there's another, you could like hit triangle and skip altogether, and then you do that, and it's like, all right, finally, let's get to some action. Oh no, it's another cutscene with more dialogue, just in a different location, and you're skip. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go back. Hey, if anybody's a big fan and they're like, oh, just wait, the first 3 hours is all dialogue, but then the last hour is amazing combat, okay, let me know. But as of right now, I'm probably never going back to this. So yeah, Persona 5. I'm gonna say pass. In our famous rating system, pass or smash. I'm gonna pass.
Because we're smashing the buttons on the controller.
That's
it. It's so much fun.
That's exactly
it. As opposed to just passing with the
gas. Yes. Yeah. So what do you got next?
Oh god.
You could talk about another video game.
Oh yes, thank you. So I recently beat Alan Wake Remastered. Yeah, this was a game that came out in 2010 that I played on the Xbox 360, And
Ew.
and remember really liking it. I think it was probably the first and maybe only horror in quotation marks games I ever played, and I remember really digging it. So out of pure nostalgia, I was like, okay, I'll play the remaster and see what's up. And I gotta say, it's not a fun game.
All I hear is just like, you gotta play it. My boss is just like, this is the most cool, crazy, messed up thing.
Like, the remaster for the most part looks good. It's not like the graphics are outdated or anything. And the story is interesting enough. For those who don't know, the story is about a writer who is on vacation with his wife in a small sort of mountain town. And
Is this a Stephen King story, or?
Yes, it is, actually. They make reference to Stephen King. And one night, his wife falls into a lake and disappears, and he starts wondering if he's going crazy. He's seeing these shadowy figures who are attacking him, and the only way for him to fight them off is by flashing them and covering them in light with his flashlight, and then shooting them with a gun.
Oh, he doesn't have a vacuum like Luigi's Mansion?
He does not
Fuck
this time.
This
maybe
game.
maybe the sequel that's coming. And then as the story unfolds, you're beginning to wonder if he's just going crazy, if he killed his wife, if he's insane, if these evil shadowy creatures are real or a figment of his imagination. And the story itself is pretty interesting, and where it goes is okay, but you're fighting the same three
enemy types?
Yeah. So there's your standard one, your big bulky one, and then there's kind of a fast one. And then there's like birds, but the birds don't really do anything. And so it's just so repetitive after 15, 20 hours of the game. I was just kind of like ready for it to be over, because like I just wasn't having fun. And the jump scares weren't really there. I think there's potential here. I think if they were going to do a remaster, they would need to start from like the ground up, which wouldn't have been it would have just been a totally different game. So I have hope for Alan Wake 2 when that comes out next year or later this year. I can't remember exactly when it comes out. I think it's 2023.
We only have we will only have two Alan Wakes. I thought there was a 1 and 2, and this was going to be a newer.
There might have been a DLC or something. If you've never played Alan Wake before, I think you can pretty much skip this. If you want to play it just for nostalgia's sake and you remember really liking the game, or it was something you really enjoyed and everything I said you just disagreed with, fine. But I just think it doesn't hold up 12 years later as games have advanced and combat has changed and all that. It's the same company that made Control. So that was another thing where Control had like so much potential story-wise, but I had no fucking clue what that game was about.
I mean, that's a game where you have to read every scrap of paper, and I do not read scraps of paper. I pick it up because it allowed me to pick it up, but unless it gives me an audio telling of it, I'm sorry. Your story cannot be told within written works. If you could have or there's a maximum of 10 pieces of paper you pick up. Okay, I'll read all of those. But when it's 400 things, like Tomb Raider had so many little things about the history, I don't care. It doesn't add anything to it. Or I mean, it does. It doesn't add anything for me.
Yeah. Well, in Alan Wake, you pick up pages of the book you're writing as one of the things you can sort of collect. But then when you select it, you can't play the game and hear it, but he reads you the...
So you have to stay on the screen?
I have to stay on the screen and look at the words as he's reading it aloud to me, I think. So it's a little bit easier, but... And the other thing is, they're really only a pair. It's really short pages. It's not like a full page that has been written. So it's not super annoying, but I didn't read any of those either, because I was just like, I just want to play the game.
Yeah.
So... Alan Wake on a scale of smash or pass, C-.
Okay, so spoil it for me. Just tell me, is he crazy, or are there really crazy demon things happening? Don't go into it. Just crazy or not.
He is not.
Oh.
Yes.
Cool. Anything else about that?
Do your research when it comes to remasters and everything. If you haven't played a game in a long time, I also I don't know if I can't remember if I talked about it on the podcast, but I got the Crash Bandicoot bundle pack of the first 3. And I remember being a kid on PlayStation 1 and playing 2 and 3. I don't think I ever owned the first Crash Bandicoot game. And so it was fun playing them, but they don't hold up.
Especially that first one. That first one was way too hard.
That first one was so hard. 2 and 3, breezed through. Yeah. The first one, I gave up.
I get what they're
trying to do. I can't beat that game. A game designed for children.
I get what they're trying to do with that, like, straightforward view of, like, either running downhill or in the cameras in front or behind you. Yeah. It's like, it's unique. It's not Mario. It's not Sonic. It's very different, but it's also bad. It's also not a fun way to play a game. Running towards the camera and then all of a sudden, like, a cliff is there and you got to jump at the last second, and then, oh no, you were supposed to jump more towards the left because that's where the standing ledge was, but you jumped to the right and now you're dead, and now you don't get to save and you got to start all over. Fuck Crash Bandicoot. Should all be side scrolling. And that forward or backward thing should just be like one of 3 different level types or something, not all of it. But anywho, Alan Wake, more like Alan go back to sleep.
Ooh, good one.
I know. I was working on that all week. Okay, so I watched a show. I kind of finished it last year, but I didn't get a chance to talk about it. It's MacGruber! You like MacGruber?
I do love the SNL sketches, and I want to say I like the movie, but it's been so long, I don't recall how I felt about it. I want to say that there were parts in it that I laughed really hard at, but as a whole movie, I was like, this is kind of cringy.
I get that. It was a lot like Walk Hard for me. When I first saw Walk Hard and MacGruber, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is the dumbest shit I've ever seen. But it really needed a second viewing for me to appreciate, how stupid as shit it was on purpose.
I wouldn't mind coming over and watching it again.
Oh, MacGruber?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would absolutely. And if you haven't seen the movie, you don't have to see the show. Maya Rudolph does a really good song at the beginning of the first episode that recaps the entire movie for you. Great. So it's good, but you really should watch it because there are some jokes that are good callbacks that aren't necessarily set up within the show. But
is there a celery joke?
I don't think they do celery.
Okay.
But there's still plenty of him getting on his knees and just pleading not to get fired or whatever, and he'll suck you off right then and there. Right. A lot of
classic blowjob.
Yes, there's a lot of jokes that go on a little too long, but it works. There are some movies where or shows they don't know when to cut back because everything's so damn funny. We just got to put it all in. But it's like, no, you just should have ended it 3 seconds earlier. And they do the same thing here, but I actually think it does work. And the jokes are really funny. He is, for those who don't know, he's MacGyver, and for those who don't know who MacGyver is, he's just the best at it, at anything, infiltration, special ops. He's a master of ripping out throats, even though, in the movie...
MacGruber or MacGyver?
MacGruber, yes. MacGyver was more, he could, build a catapult with a rubber band and a tennis ball and get out of sticky situations, which MacGruber does, but...
Do you know if there was ever an episode of MacGyver where he fell into a vat of maple syrup and he was like, how do I get out of an actual sticky situation? Because that'd be a really funny
Yes, that's every 5th episode, actually.
If they did a bottle episode of MacGyver, and they just called it the sticky situation, where somehow he got with glue or some sort of sticky thing, and he was just like, I can't move. How am I going to get out of this one? I'd like to see that.
And then
episode.
at the very end, he pulls himself out of the tank or whatever, and he's laying on the floor just out of breath, and then he's stuck to the floor, and he looks at the camera and credits roll. But so played by Will Forte, MacGruber picks up 10 years after the movie. He's been in jail this whole time. Brian Phillippe and Kristen Wiig make comebacks. And we get a couple of new actors or characters played by Lawrence Fishburne and Billy Zane. Very surprised to see both of them. Very funny. Billy Zane has a ridiculous name, just like Val Kilmer did. I'm not going to save it because you should just watch it. If you like really stupid humor with a character who is so unlikable because he's entitled and obnoxious and a little racist. He's more racist in the SNL sketches. There's one with like Charles Barkley I recently watched, and he keeps like not wanting to say things like "pass me the black wire" because he's gonna seem insensitive, so he's saying like the African American wire and stuff like that. And then when he wants the yellow wire, he just says the Chinese wire. Yeah, okay. And he has to go to like sensitivity training and stuff. Like he's a little more awful that way, but in the show he has like no problem. It's so weird because he's like the biggest puss about anything, and he'll just like beg and plead for his life. But then there are other times he's confronting like the biggest, scariest dudes and just like calling them the most obscene things. And the language in this show is so obscene. I didn't know we can still create new insults with just your standard bitch, fucker, cocksucker sort of cursing.
Whoa, bitch!
I know. I'm getting this to PG-13. I guess cocksucker's probably a little more than PG-13, but...
We'll have to get our bleep guy on this episode.
Oh, bleep guy died.
Oh, damn.
Mountain bike accident.
In an ocean?
In an ocean?
Yeah. Never mind. I was just saying, wouldn't it be funny if he got a mountain bike accident? He was sitting on it, but it was like he was on a boat and fell off.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
never mind.
Maybe should have set that joke up a little better. But yeah, whatever. MacGruber, it's funny. It's
Sorry,
on.
Bleep guy.
Yeah, R.I.P. I think his name was Gregory Bleep. It was like a family business. Like his great grandfather started the Bleep.
From the Bleep dynasty family.
But yeah, if you like moronic humor, definitely watch it. Kristen Wiig's great as always, and Ryan Phillippe is good in it as well, or Felipe, however you pronounce it. I always said it was Phillippe, but I've heard so many people say it other ways. How do you say it?
I always said Phillippe.
Yeah, okay. So tweet at us if Ryan Phillippe if we don't know how to say your name. But yeah, MacGruber, it's on Peacock. Watch it.
It'd be funny. I'm just gonna pitch a tag at the end where we like play a real sad song and be like in memoriam to
Gregory Bleep.
To Gregory Bleep, and then we give him the 20 bleep salute. 21 bleep salute. So
that's funny. I don't know how to put that together.
Oh, okay.
So maybe this is it right here.
Okay.
All right,
moving on.
What do you got?
So before we get to, I think, our main...
I
got some stuff.
Yeah.
You talked about it on a previous episode, but I finally got around to watching the other two. I think I watched maybe the first 2 or 3 episodes with you when it first came out, and I remember liking it, but for whatever reason didn't continue with it. And me and my fiance needed a new comedy show to watch while we were eating, so I was like, Ben's been talking about this. I've seen it before. I think you'll like it. And man, it's great. It's probably top 5 funniest shows on TV right now.
Wow.
And I would be amazed if anyone's really watching it.
Yes.
I'm glad that they got a season 3. I'm hoping that the fact that it is on HBO now sort of opens the door for more. But yeah, it is so good.
Give everyone a synopsis, a quick one.
So the other 2 is about a brother and sister whose little brother becomes a teenage pop star kind of overnight. He's a Justin Bieber type, but he's not a dickhead. But
he's a real sweet kid.
Yeah, he's a real sweet kid, and his mom is kind of going with him to all this stuff in the first season. And then in season 2, she gets her own talk show, so she becomes famous. While the brother, he's a struggling actor, and the sister is trying to find her way in season 1. And then
she was a dancer,
but gave it up. And season 2, she kind of becomes successful, but dealing with her own relationship struggles and all that stuff. And every episode, they're just getting into wackier and wackier situations and dealing with like this hyper-realized or hyper-reality. What do you call it? Yeah. Of Hollywood and sort of the weird things that like they're dyeing their little brother's tongue because it's not pink enough for the tweens, or wrapping up his neck so his Adam's apple just doesn't stick out too far. Just weird stuff like that. So all the ridiculous Hollywood stuff is funny. In season 2, the brother becomes a host of the Gay Minute, which is just an internet kind of like the Soup web show, but like pretty much all the news is about Laura Dern. It's like the only thing the gays care about, I guess, is Laura Dern, and it's just a funny recurring bit. It's all just, it's so funny, and all the jokes are great and clever. If you are really into Broad City, I'd say it's very much in that realm. It first aired on Comedy Central. I think it's just an HBO exclusive now. And just because the brother and sister are a good duo, and what I like best about the show is that even though that these people are kind of maybe doing awful things to try and get ahead or put themselves in situations where they're kind of like selling somebody out to try and benefit themselves, as a family they all really love each other, and they never abuse the little brother per se.
They may ignore him, but it's never cruel.
The mom is a little kooky, and a
people pleaser to like her own health.
Yeah, and season 2, Molly Shannon is a revelation. She's great. I think she got nominated for.
I hope so.
It might have been a Critics' Choice. It doesn't matter, but she got nominated for something, I think, and she is fantastic on the show. Like, give me more Molly Shannon. She's awesome. But yeah, the two main stars, really, really funny. I think I've seen the dude before, but I never saw the girl. But she's great. So check out the other two. It's great, and one of my new favorite comedy shows.
Awesome! I'm so glad you like it.
And now that I've seen it, when season 3 comes out, we'll be able to talk about it and banter and tell our favorite jokes and all that good stuff.
I'm saying episode. Let's see. Do you know when it comes back?
It was renewed in September. This last season, I think, aired so I'm hoping it premieres fall-ish of this year. But, COVID stuff and everything. I don't know how that is all going to go.
We'll say 10 months from now, that's 40 episodes. So episode 62 will be our... No, I'll round it up to 70. Episode 70 will be our recap episode for the other two. So someone remind me. Episode 70.
You just got to get through the next 40 episodes, everybody, and then I promise you it'll be worth it to hear that review of the other two.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
No skips.
Yeah, no.
You have to listen to all of them.
Because there's going to be clues in every episode, and when you take all those clues and put it together, it's the location of our hidden treasure.
Ovaltine.
Drink more Ovaltine.
Anyway.
So I went to the movies. I didn't want to go to the theater just because, Omicron's like fucking everything up. But
is that a Transformer?
Yes, there is.
They've invaded. Damn it!
I would almost rather have rampaging robots through the street. At least you can see that coming, and it's easier to avoid than just like someone who has the sniffles next to you. I saw Scream 5. This was on my list of most anticipated movies.
Really?
Yeah, you don't remember?
I don't. I tune everything that you say out on this podcast.
Yeah, don't blame you. Scream 5, very excited. It's been like 10, 11 years since the last one, and that one was fantastic.
Were people really screaming for more Scream films?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like we had our original trilogy and everybody was fine that it was done. Then when 4 came out, I was like, oh my god, I love that trilogy. Let's get more. And then when that was done, I was like, cool, we did an extra one. We don't need it
Did you
anymore.
like Scream 4?
I love Scream 4.
Oh, okay.
Scream 4 is probably my third favorite. To show my hand of what I thought of this movie, I'd say my rankings are 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. 5 is not great. It's not bad. It doesn't ruin the franchise or anything like that. It's just more of the same. Mm-hmm. A lot of what they cover here has been covered in the last one, and the who's the killer and their motivation has been covered in previous installments. So this was like the most uninteresting reveal. I mean, like 3 had a reveal that was kind of like, okay, that's weird, but I guess that works. This one, it's kind of stupid. It's a really dumb reason. Okay, so some of my problems with this is the legacy characters aren't in it enough to actually... I mean, Dewey's in it a good amount.
Well, I'm sorry, real quick.
Yeah.
So the plot of this, just real quick, is that there is a killer going after the children of people who had appeared in the previous films, correct? That's the
of relation of somehow. Like, there's one girl, she lives in Matthew Lillard's house that the finale in the first one took place in. There's a guy who's also Matthew Lillard's, like, nephew, Randy from 1 and 2. What's his name? Jamie Kennedy. Okay. Yeah, his sister shows up in 3, and so her kids are in it.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's just relations to that, but that's not a super utilized thing. And without, I don't want to spoil it on this because I think people should go see it. I'll talk to you afterwards and let you know. But they don't do anything new. It's just more of the same, and this was their chance to really go big and crazy. And I'm not saying go supernatural or anything like that, but do something completely unexpected. And I'm not talking about, like, make Sydney the killer and she's a crazy person after all these years of trauma. Nothing like that, but do or, like, kill off someone that you wouldn't expect and just go big with it, and it's just more the same. So it was very disappointing. And of all the casts, I don't care about any of these kids. None of them were all that interesting, whereas I loved everybody in the last one. Like, Hayden Panettiere, she was a great addition, and it was sad that they killed her off in that, even though I think they're retconning it. And then, like, there's a Culkin in it, and Rory Culkin. But yeah, it was just, all of them have good casts, and this one is just like, I don't really care about any of these people's careers. I mean, I like, what's his name, Jack Quaid? Is that his name? Jack Quaid? From The Boys?
Yeah,
Quaid. Dennis Quaid's son, yeah.
Like, I was like, is it Quaid or Mckay? But it's Quaid. Yeah. I had to say his dad's name.
I want a movie or show with him and then Kurt Russell's kid, right?
Okay.
Russell. I want them to team up. I think they'd be like fun college buddies or something.
After Falcon Winter Soldier, Russell
Wyatt.
Yeah, Russell Wyatt.
Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, Jesus.
Kurt Russell's kid.
Kurt Russell's kid seems like he would easily fit into the Boys universe.
Oh, yeah.
As either a superhero, a souped-up villain, or just a dude who joins the team, or whatever. He seems like he could easily do that sort of manic character.
I could just see, like, him and Jack Quaid working in an office, and, Jack Quaid's the straight-lace, brown-noser or whatever, and Wyatt Russell is the crazy party dude, always getting into trouble. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hollywood, look at that pairing. But yeah, Scream 5, I gave it a C+.
It feels like a missed opportunity. Now, I know they've just been numbered throughout, but this one should have just been called Screams, and the last S is a 5, and then it turns out there's multiple killers or something like that. I mean, there might be multiple killers in this movie, but I'm saying in the trailer you recognize that there's multiple killers.
And they do reference how, like, the Stab movies within the Scream universe, like, Stab 8 is just being called Stab, and they're like, oh, why are you doing that? Just call it Stab 8, that's what it's supposed to be. And it's like, ha ha ha, look at that, we're doing the same thing.
Gotcha.
But it's still annoying.
Yeah.
There's no reason to call this just Scream, because I don't think we're going to continue with these characters. This isn't like a soft reboot. And if it was a complete reboot, okay, that's fine. But this should just be called Scream 5. Or Screams is good, but I think Screams, people go, what's that? I don't know what Screams is.
I get it.
But yeah, C+. I will say, not that... Okay, one of the good thing and bad thing about Scream movies. Good, Ghostface could be anybody, and he is just the man. He's not supernatural, and he doesn't go crazy with his kills, which is kind of one of the bad things. All the kills are just knife or gun wounds, mainly. There's a couple, like Rose McGowan getting crushed by the garage door in the first one. There's a house that blows up in 3. Sometimes we get a little bit of different kills, and he's not Freddy, he's not Jason. I don't want to see crazy convoluted things, but just getting stabbed a bunch of times has lost its impact. So in this one...
Unless you do it like Zodiac, kind of, where just make it like realistic and terrifying.
So this, because the special effects have gotten so much better, they do more brutal kills. Like someone gets stabbed in the throat, but it's not like right in the middle. It's like kind of off to the side, and it slowly gets pushed in, and then it pops out the back. Like someone gets stabbed like right through the cheek. And whenever someone gets stabbed through the cheek and it goes out the other side, I just want them to pull it forward and split the whole mouth open. They never do. Someone gets stabbed in the stomach, in the back, like with 2 knives, and then like cut them up. Not a whole bunch of guts fall out or anything. So the kills are a little more brutal, but it is just stabbings.
Okay.
Yeah. And one thing I learned: the guy who does the voice for Ghostface, it's been the same guy in all of them. Guy's got a great voice. It's super creepy because in this one in the beginning he kind of tried to sound a little more normal, like, oh, I'm your mom's friend, and then he slowly goes into that, what's your favorite scary movie voice. So the voice of Ghostface is also the voice of Mojo Jojo from Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I didn't know he's a pretty big voice actor. He has a huge list of credits, but I wouldn't have ever thought that was the same guy.
I wonder, I mean, I'm sure he's happy to be paid and, be part of a major franchise for the past 20 years, or 30 years actually, roughly.
Since 96.
96, yeah. But I wonder if it's just annoying, like, yeah, I'm the voice of an iconic horror villain, and no one fucking knows my name.
Knows. People know Kane Hodder is Jason and Robert Englund is Freddy, but nobody knows this guy.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's still pumped about it. It's just...
I think when
there's a little part of me that if I was him, I'd be like, man, like fucking,
that's fucking me, man.
Can I put me on Fallon?
Yeah,
let me talk about it.
Yeah, so that's Scream 5. Kind of disappointing. They should have gone big. I got one short thing, and I know you got one more thing before we get to our main thing.
Yep.
So let me just do mine real quick.
Sure.
There's a show on Cartoon Network called Smiling Friends. It's the next big hit. I kept seeing commercials for it. So
I don't know what this is.
It's a little animated thing by some of the guys. They did stuff on Newgrounds back in the day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So this is their new thing.
What is this, 2001?
Have you seen like YOLO Crystal Adventure or something? It's like a bunch. It's another.
Man, I think you're just making up words, man.
It's on Adult Swim as well, but.
Okay.
They're like Australian or New Zealand or something, and they're just like 2 gal pals. One's kind of ugly, one's kind of normal, and I haven't watched much of it because like the animation is so bizarre, it kind of bugged me. But this is like,
if you're unattractive, you're not a normal person.
You're not a normal person if you're ugly. So it's pretty much like Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends,
okay.
But if all the imaginary characters were real and they worked at a job called Smiling Friends and they're just there to make you happy. So the first episode, some mom calls and goes, you gotta cheer up my son, he's really depressed, and it's like this 40-year-old dude and he's holding a gun to his head just like, I'm gonna kill myself any second. And they're like, well, let us try to cheer you up. So the whole episode, he's just walking around getting ready to shoot himself as they're trying to like take him on roller coasters and things like that. Bunch of crazy, kooky characters, and it's really silly. I'm enjoying it. There's about 5 episodes out now.
So this is very much an adult show. It's not for children.
For sure. They're just like fun characters. And next time you're over, we'll watch them because it's good stuff. Smiling Friends, Adult Swim.
Good to know. So before we get to our main topic, I watched a film that came out 2 years ago.
2020.
Yes, 2020. A little Oscar-nominated film, Oscar-winning film, I believe, for screenplay.
Oh, okay.
I think.
Good.
I watched Promising Young Woman.
I love this movie.
I've been waiting to see this movie for a while. I know you had seen it, and we didn't talk about it, but you said you liked it. I just never got around to seeing it in theaters, and then it took forever to come to streaming. It's on streaming now. So I loved this movie.
This movie is great.
This movie is fucking awesome. And awesome in a way where it's not action-y. It's not bloody or killery, or it's kind of marketed as a woman seeking revenge.
Yeah.
And like you don't know if she's like slitting these dudes' throats or anything. But I mean, you eventually do find out what she's doing and why. but it's all so cool, and it could have easily been kind of preachy, but it wasn't preachy.
No. Or it could have been like really exploitative, but it's not.
Carey Mulligan is great in it, and Bo Burnham, I want to see him in everything.
My God.
He steals this movie because he plays like a dork, but he's also just so charming. It's just like, it's so easy that like to fall in love with this guy, because he's also just a natural comedian. Everything he says is funny. Like when they run into each other, he kind of like makes a joke. It's like, oh, if you want to spit in my drink, you can, and she does. And so he's just like, all right, you call my bluff, and so he just drinks it, and then you're immediately like, oh, that's kind of gross, but it's like, man, that's like a great move.
That's a power move.
That's a power move, and it worked.
Yeah, it either works like, wow, this guy really committed, or this guy's kind of gross. He just drank a stranger's spit.
Yeah, but yeah, so just acting across the board, it's a movie that's marketed as like a possibly a horror revenge thriller, and it is thrillery, but the entire movie is just filled with comedians. The only person who's not a comedian in this movie is Carey Mulligan.
Yeah, like
everyone else has been in pretty much, if any comedy show or movie you've seen in the past decade, like someone in this movie has been in it.
Yeah.
Alison Brie,
Max Greenfield,
the guy whose name I forget, but he was on Glow with Alison Brie.
Yes. Yeah, I was like, what was he in? I can't. Yeah, Glow. That's right.
Jennifer Coolidge is Carey Mulligan's mom, and they all like, no one has a ton of screen time other than Carey Mulligan and Bo Burnham. Everyone else are kind of just bit players, but like every time one of these actors shows up, like they kind of steal the scene they're in, and a lot of these actors in the movie have played like it. I don't know if it was on purpose, but for the most part, like every comedic actor has played sort of these endearing, charming, lovable characters, and then everybody in this movie is scummy.
Yeah,
every single person. And there's a twist at the end, which I won't spoil for anyone who wants to see it.
Which I predicted going in. I was like, you know what? I think this movie's gonna have a real shocking ending, and I was right.
I mean, it feels weird that we spoil stuff
and then say, I don't want to spoil it.
It's like we need to...
I think the spoiler warning is more for when I just like blurt out something that we're not necessarily talking about. Oh yeah, it's like that time when Bruce Willis has been dead the whole time. You know.
Sure.
But if something is like so good that we want the listeners to actually enjoy it, we don't have to spoil it for them to get our point. Unless, you know, if I had a new pitch for Scream 5, I probably would have spoiled that ending. But in order to like get my thoughts across, I didn't need to, so I don't need to.
So anyway, final thoughts. Really enjoyed it. Couple of twists in there that I thought were surprising and fun. Made me laugh. Made me reevaluate my self-esteem. Like, I'm glad I'm not on the dating scene anymore. I am practically married. But I highly recommend it. It was a movie I was not expecting to be fun despite the dark subject matter. I wouldn't call it a dark comedy, but maybe it would fall in that realm, I guess. Yeah.
What else do you call it?
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, it's kind of a revenge thriller. Sure, in a way, but not in the way you would probably think.
Yeah, I would never call it a comedy, but it did make me it did make me laugh quite a bit. Anyway, highly recommend. Go see Promising Young Woman, streaming on HBO Max right now. And that's the game. And there's a new show coming to HBO about the Lakers in the 80s. Bo Burnham is playing Larry Bird, which I think is hilarious casting. So if you love Bo Burnham, watch that show. I don't know if it's any good because it's not out yet, but I'm looking forward to just seeing what he does, because Larry Bird is a legendary trash talker, and I just imagine Bo Burnham just delivering these like funny lines talking trash to basketball players, and it's gonna be good stuff.
Yeah, isn't like Daniel Radcliffe playing
Weird Al?
Weird Al. Is it Daniel Radcliffe?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, weird casting.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Daniel Radcliffe is a good actor. I like him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'd been my first choice for Weird Al, but
yeah, maybe like the casting people, they know something. Like maybe he does a great Weird Al impression, or he sang a cover at a karaoke bar, and they must see something. All right. Well, speaking of stuff that's great, good segue. Our main topic.
Hang on, we can do a better segue.
Okay. I mean, speaking of promising young women, don't look up Jennifer Lawrence is a promising young woman in the field of looking through a telescope. I don't know what she, astronomer, I guess.
Promising Young Woman is a promising young film. And speaking of a promising young woman in a promising young film, we have Don't Look Up.
Okay, so if you're gonna watch Promising Young Woman, don't look up any spoilers. Speaking of not looking up, we watched Netflix's Don't Look Up.
Nailed it.
All right.
That's the one.
Okay. Directed by
Adam Mckay.
Who has done Vice and The Big Short.
Yep.
So he has kind of like this new genre, this kind of meta real world movie.
Yeah, he's taken on political comedy dramas.
Yeah. Things that shouldn't be funny, but end up being pretty funny.
For those who don't know, Adam Mckay got his fame in Hollywood by directing Talladega Nights, Anchorman 1 and 2, and
not old school. No,
that was Todd Phillips.
Yeah, that's right.
And Step Brothers, I believe, was him.
Sure,
maybe. Anyway, just Will Ferrell. The Other Guys was another.
Oh yeah.
So he did Will Ferrell comedies quite a bit, and then now he's on to his I do Oscar movies now.
Yeah, now he has a movie that has Leonardo DiCaprio and Meryl Streep and others, Jennifer Lawrence and
Jonah
Hill, Mark Rylance. I saw Michael Chiklis' name in the credits.
Yeah.
Who was Michael Chiklis?
He had a very small role. He was kind of the what's that crazy chubby guy who said the school shooting was faked or whatever?
Ron Perlman?
Alex Jones.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
Like an Alex Jones type.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
He had like a TV segment where he's just like, "Oh, this is all propaganda, whatever. It's not."
Oh, I didn't catch that because I saw I think his name was in the beginning credits and going like, "Oh, cool, Michael Chiklis." I didn't know.
I think he had 2 quick scenes where altogether he maybe had 30 seconds of screen time tops.
Okay.
So he was very blink if you miss it, like the Chris Evans bit.
Yeah, which when he showed up, I'm like squinting at the screen like, is that him? And then he opens his mouth and it's like, oh, okay, yeah. I guess he was supposed to play the Mark Rylance character. Just kind of this tech guy, but they decided to go a different route with it. And I'm glad, because Mark Rylance is great in this as like the biggest piece of shit that seems like a Mr. Rogers type, but is just, is completely fucking evil on the inside. Probably doesn't believe it himself, thinks what he's doing is right, but just an absolute scumbag.
Well, before we get into all that, Don't Look Up is about 2 astronomers astronomers,
space scientists
who discover that a giant asteroid is heading towards Earth, and they have 6 months to stop it, or all of humanity will die. And then it's just them having to go through a ton of red tape and
politics and
media to try and stop it, and it's just frustrating. And it's just one big metaphor for climate change.
But it really could be a metaphor for anything.
Yes, pretty much. So yeah, now we'll get into it. Mark Rylance, every time he was on screen, I hated him. And I know that was the point.
But his perfect little teeth, I just wanted to punch him.
I was fine with the teeth. His voice and cadence and how he just, I don't know. I don't think I could hang out with anyone who talked like that for more than the screen time he was on the movie. Like, god damn.
I love when he was doing his presentation for like the new phone, and he has all these kids on stage, and one little girl's like, "Can I ask a question?" And he's like, no. And then he goes back on with his thing. It seems like it was supposed to be part of the show, but he just like shuts her down so quickly. Made me laugh. But again, we're jumping to a character that really doesn't even have anything to do until like more than halfway done. So yeah, they try to go to the president to tell him, hey, look, we're gonna die in 6 months. And Meryl Streep is this very Trump-esque, but the party is never established. But you know what party it is.
We're not going to say it on here, but you know what party it is.
And they're more worried about public opinion on some bullshit that's going on right now. Well, what was her controversy? I know later she like accidentally shows a picture of her vagina to the world or something, but
well, I think at first it wasn't so much a controversy. I think the controversies more came later. It was just,
but they couldn't even see them that first day that they were there at the White House because they were dealing with something.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But yeah, so they get kind of blown off, and no one's really taking them seriously. Even the president is just given a wait and see sort of thing, and they're just like screaming like, no, this is 6 months and we're all dead. We need to work now. And they're just kind of like, let's let our own scientists look at it.
Well, yeah, they're like, is this 100% fact? And they're like, well, nothing's 100% fact. It's like 99.98%. And they're like, it's not 100%. But it's like, well, why don't you just tell us it's 70% and we can, it's like, I can't tell you it's 70%. It's going to happen. And it's like, well, you just said it's not 100%, so it might not happen.
So they decide to like leak it to the press, and they go onto this morning show with
Kate Blanchett
and Tyler Perry doing the like great sort of morning talk show. Everything's happy and nice, and we don't get into anything too deep, but you could tell there's like some resentment or like a hatred to each other. It's so phony, their chemistry. And Jennifer Lawrence just kind of loses her fucking shit and becomes a meme for blowing up on TV. And like there's a part where he's just like, now let me ask you, if this asteroid comes to Earth, could it like destroy a house? And like you could just see the frustration on their face of like no, this is bigger than the thing that killed the dinosaurs. Like everything's gonna be gone. And they're all just kind of like, ha ha ha. Oh, well,
as long as it hits my wife's house.
Yeah, exactly. Like, everything's played for a joke, and no one's taking him seriously. And Jennifer Lawrence just kind of loses it.
Mm-hmm. As rightfully she should.
Yeah, as she should.
What I will say is I think everyone is great in this movie. But, well, I think I remember you saying off mic that had you watched this movie last year, it would have made your top 10.
Yeah.
Probably top
5. Yeah.
I honestly didn't really care for this movie that much. Yeah. It's not that it didn't do anything, or it's not that it did anything particularly that I hated. It's just I have a hard time with these kind of movies where the tone, it's a comedy, but it's also a drama, and I heard so much good stuff about Jonah Hill, and like all this stuff, all of Jonah Hill stuff was funny.
So funny.
But it almost seemed out of place, because it just seemed like here's him doing like this ridiculous comedic character where everyone else is kind of playing it normal, and it just tonally didn't work for me. Like it was fine. And Mark Rylance, I didn't enjoy seeing him on screen, even though like I understand that was the point. If he was cut out of the movie entirely, I would have probably enjoyed it more. Because every time he was on screen, I was just like, oh, I wish this character would go away. And I think another part maybe that I kind of took me out of it a little bit was just this movie gave me anxiety, and I was frustrated watching it. And I know, obviously, once again, that's the
point.
The movie is doing its job, but because it's doing its job, it's not making me enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that it showed American society very much like how I could see it happening, because it's happening today. But it just watching it, I was just like, this is all so annoying and frustrating, and just seeing that asteroid just move closer and closer, and the days are counting down. I'm just like, obviously, an asteroid is not coming to Earth, but just this concept of, oh, we're all gonna die soon, and like I almost wanted to see the world reaction more. Like you got a lot of the social media posts, and you have the celebrities going like, all right guys, stop donating to the whales, like we're gonna donate to the Don't Look Up Foundation or whatever they're doing. It just like all these people just posting it just seems ridiculous. I don't know.
Like there's gonna be a movie released on the day of the asteroid hitting about the asteroid hitting.
Like there's a lot of fun ideas in this film, and I think it all works very well. But it's just a movie I didn't have fun watching, maybe because it all just seemed too on the nose, and because tonally it couldn't decide if it wanted to be funny or dramatic, and I don't know if it should have leaned more either way. But I felt the same way about The Big Short. I didn't see Vice, but I imagine it's in the same realm. Like in The Big Short, you have these scenes that are played for laughs and fun, where it's like, oh, we're going to describe how the stock market works. But I'm so dumb, I still didn't get it, even after they gave me the dumbed down version.
Well, when it's Margot Robbie in a bathtub explaining, it's hard to listen to anything she's saying.
So I just as a fan of Adam McKay, I'd like to see him go back to doing really funny comedies as opposed to his new political Oscar stuff. Even though his political Oscar stuff is perfectly fine, it's just maybe I just like comedy more. I don't know.
Wow, I feel like I'm the complete opposite. I don't want to see him go back to the Will Ferrell dumb comedies. I want more of this. I think we haven't gotten a lot of these topical, realistic, but maybe a little meta type of movies like Vice and The Big Short. I can't think of anything else that's similar to it. It almost feels like a new genre of movie, and if he's the only one doing it, well, I want him to keep doing it, because all three of these, like, since The Big Short, like, Vice is better than Big Short, and this is better than Vice, so he's only getting better. I can't wait to see what he does next. I love the tone of this, that is so bleak and dark and upsetting because of how realistic it is, but then the comedy is so funny that it lightens all those moments, and it does kind of like bounce you back and forth with emotions, but I think that all works. I loved this movie. I can't say I gave it an A, not an A+, and I can't remember why I didn't give it the plus. Maybe it was a length thing, but I can't think of anything I'd want to cut out. I love every bit of it.
I will say, I think the final scene is one of the best scenes this year, just because of how beautiful and terrifying it is at the same time.
Spoilers, we die. the asteroid hits and everybody on the Earth dies, except for a handful of people, which we'll get to.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot about that. I hated both of those.
What the fuck is wrong with these dudes? Those are great scenes. Okay, let's do the Jonah Hill one. Okay, so the asteroid hits. The final scene, all of our main characters have gotten back together to have one final meal, to kind of just sit around and say what they're grateful for. And it's really scary because they're trying not to be scared themselves, and they're just talking about coffee and apple pie, even though the house is shaking around them like we are about to die, but we can't be panicked. And then, of course, a big wave of destruction comes and just destroys them all instantly.
Yeah. Did you ever see Seeking a Friend at the End of the World?
Yeah.
Of course you did, because you watch everything.
Saw it in theaters.
I did too. Yeah, I did. I mean, that's a very similar movie in terms of concept.
Sure. Smaller.
It's very much smaller. But I really like that movie. I think it's kind of an underrated little gem. And I know that's... and
Melanie Linsky's in that one too.
Oh yeah, she's Steve Carell's...
I think so.
Lost love.
Yeah, or a wife that leaves because the asteroid's coming. So.
Whatever. But that ends in a somewhat similar way, and I just remember really liking that ending. And I think seeing people in the face of death just having a nice quiet moment is like really effective. Anyway,
before you go on, when I started it, I was taking a few notes. I said, if the movie doesn't end with the Earth blowing up, I'm going to be very disappointed. Like, if there was some crazy thing that saved the day at the end, it'd be like, well, that's not the point. So I'm very happy that
You know, this. I was just waiting for Bruce Willis and the drill team from Armageddon to show up. It's like, because this would have been the movie where you're just like, oh, here's a meta joke for you.
Nope, we sent Ron Perlman.
A racist soldier. What? Anyway.
Post credit? You want to talk about that?
Yeah,
Are
we
you
still no, I really, really liked the end scene where it showed sort of the best and worst of humanity. Well, some lovely things about it, because I imagine like people are like giving birth at the time of the asteroid hitting, or like playing with their children, and they know the world is coming to an end. It's just like, what else are you going to do? It was nice seeing images throughout the world of both panic and beauty as this, mile high wave of water and just debris is the shock wave is just decimating the world, and
like the
scary stuff.
The news hosts, they're like sitting in a bar, and it's like, what do we do? Do we fuck, or do we just keep drinking? And it's like, let's just sit here and talk shit about people until we die. It's like, what do you do when you're in your last moments?
So great ending. I love the ending. No problems with the ending. But yeah, post-credit scene. Jonah Hill one was fine. It just seemed like I didn't like it because there's no reason for him to be alive.
Sure.
It just undercut, and I know it's just like a post-credit thing where like most people probably wouldn't even see it anyway. So it doesn't really have an overall effect of the movie. It's just if you stayed for it, it's like, oh, okay, well the movie should have just ended with the
other one.
I didn't need the post-credit scenes.
Okay.
Because it was just added comedy that I think really undercut the bittersweet emotion of the ending, and it was just kind of stupid. And
Sure.
So the Jonah Hill joke was fine, even though it was ridiculous. Because no matter how douchey that guy was, you're telling me he would have crawled from the rubble and be like, "Hey guys, make sure to like and subscribe," even though he literally says, "I'm the last man on Earth." Just like,
sure, I could understand that, but I think the before building up to that, where they're after the failure to stop the asteroid happens, the president and Mark Rylance, they're going to get on a spaceship, and they have like top of the line cryo technology, and they're going to go find another world, and they invite Leonardo DiCaprio, and he's just like, nah, I'm gonna hang out, have fun with your son. And she realizes like, oh fuck, I never went back for my son. That's a great joke. And then you cut to Jonah Hill, and he's just sitting there like, she's coming back, and it's so sad and pathetic, and he's such a piece of shit.
That's why he should not have come back.
And it's like, it's sad. You feel bad for him that his own mother left him behind to die, but he kind of deserves it. But I don't know, there's something about him being the last person on Earth is like, he kind of deserves it because of how shitty his mom did him, but he also deserves it because he is kind of a piece of shit, so don't let him get off easy by dying. He's the last person on Earth. Make it rough for him.
I get it. It just...
hey, different strokes for different folks. But that's the post credit. The mid credit is when we see the ship take off and fly away, and then it's like the year 30,000.
It's 22,000 some years later.
Something, and the ship with all like the best of the best, or at least the richest people of America.
I was expecting some more hotties on that flight.
You would think
it was all like old
dudes.
men and like older women, and I was just like, oh, I thought they like, if it was all old white men, I would have believed it. It's like I thought they would have brought like some 20-year-old
their mistresses and stuff.
It was just like whatever, their rich wives too. I guess.
Something you would think. Maybe they're still in their cryopods. Yeah. Who knows? Well, I guess there's like a long-haired dude who is supposed to be like Kid Rock, and I think it's kind of funny that Kid Rock would be someone. But I guess Matthew Perry is in that scene, but they cut it. He was just one of the people that got to go on the ship. I'm like, I wouldn't even think of all the friends he would be the one that gets to go. But anywho, that's funny. But the thing I love about this scene is they land, and it's a new world, and it's the setup for this joke. Because earlier, Mark Rylance tells Leonardo DiCaprio...
Why I hate this, is because of the setup joke.
Wow.
Okay. We're on a different wavelength.
Okay. So Mark Rylance is kind of laying into Leonardo DiCaprio, saying like, our technology is so good, we can predict how you're going to die. And there's like a 98% chance that you're going to die alone, which he beat the odds. So that's great. And then Meryl Streep says, well, have you ran it for me? How do I die? and they're like, oh, you get killed by like a bonkadonk or something, and they're like, what's a bonkadonk? And like, we actually don't know. And it's just kind of like a weird throwaway joke of like, okay, that's funny, and you forget about it. Then when they're on this alien planet, Meryl Streep gets like eaten by some weird bird monster, and someone says, what was that? And Mark Rylance goes, I believe it's called a bonkadonk. And it's just, it's set up so well, and it's paid off. It's so funny.
I appreciate the late game payoff. I just didn't like the joke. I didn't care for this dumb technology that doesn't exist. Like, if you want doing a sci-fi movie or where an asteroid's coming, it's like, okay, here's this Bezos-esque character who has these drones that he's gonna. I can buy that because it's viable technology. You're telling me you have a device that can predict an alien's name 22,000 years in the future is going to kill the because like you've done the math of it was so stupid to me. I didn't care for that. It was a weird joke when you pitched it because I was like, what the fuck is that about? And then it's like, oh, it paid off. Okay, that's kind of cool. But it like her getting eaten wasn't funny to me. The payoff for that joke wasn't funny. It's just like, and she was like the villain of the movie by all accounts, and it's like her dying didn't do anything for me. I wasn't just like, haha, gotcha. Like it's like I'm glad that the rich people didn't succeed.
Yeah, they all get like swarmed by these bonkadonks or whatever they're called.
I appreciated that. It's just the predicting your death joke with I didn't care for any of that.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well, other jokes that I like. There was like a shovel joke about like, I want to invest in shovels because like people are going to buy all these shovels so they could dig into the earth to save themselves. And then there was a shovel like floating through the air at the end. I thought that was funny. But the best joke is when they first go to meet the president, this general brings them all snacks, and he's just like, yeah, the prices for these are ridiculous, and collects money from all of them. And then when Jennifer Lawrence goes to get more and asks where to pay for it, they're like, this is the White House, you don't have to pay for it. So this general charged them for snacks, and they don't know why. And she brings it up at least like 4 more times, and she's laying with Timothée Chalamet, and it's just like, I just don't get it. And you think she's gonna like say something profound, but it's like, he's an army general, and he's charged us for snacks. Like, does he really need the money? And it's just a recurring joke that is so funny.
My favorite joke in this movie, and it's not even that it's like that great of a joke, it's just I love Jonah Hill's delivery of it, is they're talking, like they shoot the missiles that are going to blow up the asteroid, and then they stop the mission because they find out that there's elements on it that are worth trillions and trillions of dollars. And Leonardo DiCaprio is in the room. He's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Like, we won't have the money won't matter if we're all dead. And Jonah Hill's just like, oh, we can be rich and alive. Who cares? He's just like, how can we be both things? Like, I don't know. Just Jonah Hill was funny at it.
Everything that came out of his mouth was pretty great.
Yeah, I liked him just insulting Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
Jonah Hill's at his best when he's being a real douchebag.
Yeah. After their first meeting, and they're like being dismissed and stuff, and he just goes, thanks for dressing up. When he shakes her hand, it's just like this little dig, and like they throw bags on her head when the CIA comes and get her, and he's just like, yeah, the CIA doesn't do that. I told them to do that specifically for you. And that he talking about, like, we didn't say, but his mom is the president. So he's making these jokes that before we know that it's his mom, it's just like, only president I want to see in Playboy, and things like that. And then you realize, oh, fuck, this is his mom. And so obviously it's another hint towards like who the fuck we're talking about.
Yep. And
just, introducing her and be like, if she wasn't my mom, just these disgusting jokes. But everything he said was great. MVP of the movie. Even if, like, at first I didn't care for Leonardo DiCaprio. He kind of bugged me, but that was the point. He wasn't good on camera. He was just like a nervous wreck, but kind of giving him the confidence of like cleaning up his beard and having this really pretty lady flirt with him.
This is another problem I have with the movie.
What is your problem, Steve?
I guess I'm just being nitpicky. I don't know.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Leonardo DiCaprio has been a heartthrob his entire life. Ever since this motherfucker showed up in Critters 2, everyone's just like, this guy is hot. And I understand he was a child in the movie. That's not what I'm talking about. My point is, like, there's a reason this guy still dates supermodels, because everyone just loves Leo. And then you finally have a movie where, if I read the IMDb trivia on this correctly, they purposely made him unattractive to be like...
he's just a normal guy scientist.
He's just a normal guy scientist, and he's like supposed to be this doofus, and I liked seeing him in that role. And then you still made him the hot scientist everyone wanted to fuck.
Yeah.
And it was just like, Leo was just like, yeah, I like this idea, but let me bang Kate Blanchett in this movie too. It's like,
you're gonna make me married to Melanie Linsky? No. I'm Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm banging someone hot in here.
Yeah. It was just, I don't know. I mean, that's a nitpick, but it was just frustrating. It's like, it was your opportunity to have Leo just be an actor, which, I mean, let me back up. Fantastic actor. Every movie he's in, he's fantastic. Yeah. And he was gross in The Revenant. I get it. But it was just, it's funny that you purposely tried to make him look human, and then you still had him, like, banging celebrities.
Sure. But I thought it was good growth for his character, that he's such a nervous wreck that he's, like, shaking. Like, his performance felt... like violent. Like, my body kind of hurt, and I bet he was in a lot of pain just for the tightness of his panic attacks. And then you see him getting more used to being on camera and doing commercials and having to speak in front of people and getting looser and more confident in himself. And I really like seeing a physical change in the character.
Oh yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a Leo movie where he doesn't have a crazy yelling sequence. Like, it feels like it's in his contract where he's like, I need one scene where I can be dramatic actor, and he has to yell something. But I imagine in that scene where he finally is on the talk show and breaks down and is like, you fucking idiots, like, and he's yelling. I just imagine, like, since he's been this proponent for climate change for over a decade now, he's just like, I'm going to take all my frustration that I've been building up and I've been trying to warn people about this whole time, ever since I saw An Inconvenient Truth all those years ago, and I'm just going to encapsulate it in this one scene. And I wish this scene was a scene where I watched it go like, damn, like, that's the Oscar right there. It wasn't for me, but it was still a great scene.
Yeah. It was like the perfect moment where, like, as the audience, you're screaming at these characters as well, and he gets to kind of just, like, you get to live vicariously through him. Because at first you do it with Jennifer Lawrence, and it's like, yeah, you get it. But by the time you get to that, it's, like, so ridiculously stupid how everyone is reacting that you're just feeling it, whatever he's putting out.
What did you think about the Ariana Grande Kid Cudi relationship stuff?
Weird, but it kind of like that was a good look into how the world handles it and how some celebrities do. Like, when she called him, like, you dirty old fuck or whatever, it was like, oh well, you're kind of a turd. But I really enjoyed all that stuff, and I think Ariana Grande did a really good job.
See, I don't really have a problem with the performances. I had a problem with the 3-minute music video in the middle of the movie. Like, I didn't need that scene. And I understand you're bringing in the celebrity aspect of it and its effect on social media. And I like the joke where they, like, get engaged over the television show and, like, because they're the most popular thing, like, the guy's phone instantly downloaded the album without him even asking to. Like, I kind of liked that joke, but it was still, like, this is another thing where just, like, they're just making it too ridiculous for me.
I think you needed that because it's like this superficial, totally phony, set up thing happens. Then you have people saying the world's going to end and no one gives a shit. Yeah. I think you needed that balance.
I guess just for me, this whole movie feels just like, I get it, I just don't care for it. And I don't know why. I understand the qualities of it. There's not necessarily anything I would get rid of other than Mark Rylance, but that's only because I just didn't like his voice.
Yeah.
But it's a movie I would say that I like. It just didn't work for me. I'm sorry, and I know you really liked it. We're usually not this far off from each other.
I'm very surprised. I thought you would.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you appreciate it on a filmmaking technical level.
I do, and I appreciate it on an acting level.
Yeah. Steve doesn't care about the world. He is okay with climate change.
Yep. That's exactly what I said this whole time.
He's been spraying aerosols into the air this entire podcast.
I've been taking my dewormer daily.
Okay, so what would you rate it? Like, if you...
I would say probably I want to give it a B-, but because it's a movie that I don't think I'd ever see again and just sort of frustrated me throughout, I'm probably going to say C+.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just wasn't for me.
I can't see this movie being a little better than average. Okay. To each his own, regardless of how wrong it is. That's nuts. I love this movie, and I can't wait to watch it again. I don't know when I'm going to watch it again, because it's been relatively recent, but, well...
I think if it was a pure... And once again, if you go full drama or full comedy, maybe it would have lost a lot of its... some of its luster, and I'd go like, oh, well, then now it's just like... not a good movie, but it made me laugh more, or it wasn't a very good drama, but it had a couple good scenes, where this had like one or two good scenes and a couple good jokes, where it's like, I don't know, I guess I was just hoping for something different, and I didn't get it. So I think I would have liked to see it as like a full-blown satire, where all these super ridiculous things, like the instantly downloading of the album and this ridiculous relationship thing, and like I could have bought that more when it was pitching me this Oscar-worthy movie, but it had all this silly stuff in it. So I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Well, to each their own. That's fine. You don't have to like it. I mean, this podcast would be really boring if we were just like, you like it? Yep. Yeah, it was good. Yep. All right, next thing. Yep. You like it? Yep. Okay, well, I guess that's it for that. Next week, since there's like no movies coming out,
here's a little sneak peek of what we might be talking about. A little show on Netflix called Arcane.
Is that a sneak peek? That was more of just like announcing what it was.
Okay, it's going to be Arcane, everybody.
I thought you were going to like do an Imagine Dragons song. I thought you were going to sing a little bit like, oh, guess what this is?
Hang on, let me take it again. If you want a little sneak peek of what we're going to be talking about next week, maybe... some sort, like we could bring in our friends and some sort of league of legendary people that would talk about such a subject. Who knows?
Wow, you are very big. I have no idea what you're talking about. But yeah, next week we're going to talk about Arcane. A show that I knew nothing about, and based on a game I knew nothing about.
I was the same way.
But figured, fuck it. It's only, 9 episodes? 8 episodes? Yeah.
About 40 minutes a pop.
Yeah. And it never hurts to just watch one and see how you like it. But, we'll let you know how we liked it next time. You want to bring us home?
No.
Okay. So if you want to get in contact with us, our email address is WRPLpodcast@gmail.com.
There you go.
And you can find us on Twitter at WRPL Podcast. Hit us up with your thoughts on Arcane, and maybe we can read it on the episode. Or if you have any suggestions that you want us to cover. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
Sometimes, though. Not always.
Yeah, not always.
Thanks, everyone.
With a V or PH, I'll never tell.
Oh, shit. You know what? Yeah. Tell us what you think. Does Steven spell his name with a V or a PH? But I'm pretty sure in maybe some description somewhere I've already written your name.
Okay.
It'd be like, Ben and Steve talk about this, but, well, I never said Steven, though. Because you always spell Steve with a V. You never spell Steve with a PH.
But people who spell their name with a PH still go by Steve.
Yeah, they still go by Steve. So yeah, I've never done your full name. So yeah.
Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z.